Hi, welcome back. Last week we implemented the multi-line display and font parsing. We call this LCD DoJo. This week we got a feature request that we should support any number of lines in the font. So you can see that last time our previous implementation had, let's say, in many places a line 1 to 4 hard-coded. Now we'll make it work with any number of lines. So we just introduce a end mark. Empty line will mean the last line of the font string. And we will try to put all logic connected to this multi-line handling in the separate class. So we just write a new class. It might have end the constructor. And this class basically it's a collection of the lines, so we'll use the vector of strings. And we should also be able to construct this class based on the input string. And from that input string we will read the lines. So using the standard getLine function. And we'll read those lines until we get empty line. So line differs, then just return. And of course every line that we read we store in the vector. The getLine actually strips getLine function strips the new line character at the end, so I just need to remove it from the comparison. Okay, the next thing that our multi-lines class should support is to check whether all lines at given location are equal to some character. And for that we will use the standard for each function. So this is function that maps or calls a given function to every object in the collection. And we use the lambda function, so we're using the square bracket. And this end character inside the square bracket means that we can refer an other variable outside this lambda function, which is quite convenient. So that's why you have access to the EQ variable inside the lambda function. So we can update the EQ value based on the comparison of the current line, which is the S, at location. Is it equal to character C? Okay, so that will replace this all lines inside the if statement. The next thing that we would like to do is to replace all these lines in the if body that we cut a part of this font string. So let's introduce a cut method. So we'll cut from and to. And here we need to construct a new multi-line string that will represent a single character that we cut away from the font. And again we need to go through all the lines. And we call the lambda function. And now we, inside this lambda function, we need to cut a part of the string, so construct a new string object from the part of the current line. The current line is, remember, the s variable here. Now we need to get those brackets all right. And finally we return this new constructed multiline string. So that will replace this part inside the if. The next thing we should try to replace is this final formatting of the output string. So when we construct the string that should be the result of this LCD display call, we concatenate the current result with the new multiline string which represent the next character. So we need to have an operator that will allow us to concatenate two different multiline strings. So first of all, we make sure that our current string is big enough to concatenate with the next string. So we resize it if needed. Now again, we go through all the lines, and then we basically call this append concatenate operator for every single line. Here we also need to track which line of the other string we are working with, so that's why I introduced this I variable. Okay, let's try to use our new multiline string class now. So we can replace all those lines and just try to construct the multiline font object. So we'll read this input stream made from the font input. And then let's iterate through all the characters inside this font multiline string. And now we can replace those complicated condition here. Just write if our multiline string has all characters equal to the space. So if all lines at position I are equal to spaces, and then we will need to cut from the previous position, previous offset, until the current line. So that will also our cut function will do it very nicely. And finally we need to refactor this call operator. So we'll have the multiline string representing the result, and then can remove all the old implementation. And now we just need to concatenate our result with the font that represent the current character that we read from the text. And in the end, we can simply return the result as a string. And of course, our LCD display should have a vector of multiline strings representing the single characters or single font for every possible character that we have. We just missed to introduce the toString method. So again, we will just have the standard string result, and then of course we call for each function to go iterate through our vector of lines, and we will concatenate those lines with the results, and well, we concatenate them with the new line character. So that will be the S plus new line. Okay, let's try to compile it. Not many issues. The for each function is missing it, so we actually need to include the algorithm header file. Let's try to make it again. Let's try to make it a bit more readable. It's quite a complicated line. Yeah, we are missing the length function for the multiline string. We can just call the length of the first line. We should, well, all lines in our multiline string should have the same length. That should work quite fine. Yes, now the test cases are passing. It's a nice surprise. However, we are only testing the still 4-line font, so let's try something else. And let's keep it simple, so we just introduce a new test case which will test if our implementations support the single line fonts. So now the font will look like, say, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 9. And of course we need to have follow it up with the empty line. And with this given font can test whether, let's say, 0, 6 and 7 and well, follow the new line. That should be the output of LCD from 067. true. Okay, we learned quite much about standard function to go iterate through collections. We use it many times for each function. It's quite useful, and every time we use some lambda function, which are really good to know. Yeah, that should be all for today. Thanks, bye.